Good, happy Thursday morning, February 21, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, two seriously injured in crash on I-93 on-ramp in Manchester. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Monica Hernandez.
We're Rhymes Propane and Oil, and no one beats us. No one has a lower price on home heating oil in your area than we do. But if another company does, we'll beat their price. If you can see this ad, we can service you. Rhymes, meeting your energy needs for over 40 years. Learn more at rhymes.com.
Well, Mike and Jean, I can tell you that right now, state police tell us two elderly women are in the hospital, one of them in critical condition. And I want to show you why. They say they were in this car that rolled over a guardrail and is now upside down. They say the passenger in particular was very badly hurt. They say the driver, though, was alert and speaking. They say this actually happened when the two were driving on 93 southbound, somehow lost control, and then ran over the median and into the guardrail, then flipping over. A tow truck is on scene right now to get ready to tow this car, but right now the on-ramp is closed near exit 8 at 93 southbound.
The driver's side of the vehicle, we were able to open the door using basic hand tools and get the most critical patient out first, and then we took the passenger out, and then trying to get the victims up the embankment and then into the awaiting ALS units or the ambulances en route to the hospital.
And as you just heard, challenges there in rescuing the women from this vehicle because of the slope of this embankment and how the car landed there. Again, they are hospitalized, one of them in critical condition. Police say they are still investigating this crash, and they say they do have a warning for other drivers as the weather gets worse later tonight. Live in Manchester, I'm Monica Hernandez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Case of 1966 killing of Navy veteran in Andover now solved, officials say. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
We're Rhymes Propane and Oil, and no one beats us. No one has a lower price on home heating oil in your area than we do. But if another company does, we'll beat their price. If you can see this ad, we can service you. Rhymes, meeting your energy needs for over 40 years. Learn more at rhymes.com.
Well, it's because the suspect in this case took his own life back in 2014, but investigators say they have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that he was the killer. On September 1st, 1966, 49-year-old Everett Delano was shot and killed during a robbery at Sanborn's garage in Andover. A fingerprint was lifted off the handle of a faucet that was left running at the scene. The case went cold, but in 2013, a family member of the victim reached out to the cold case unit. The evidence was preserved, and they were able to run that fingerprint. It came up as a match for a Thomas Cass of Orleans, Vermont, who had been arrested in New Hampshire in the 70s. He was 20 years old at the time of Delano's murder. Investigators from both states interviewed Cass in 2013 and 2014. He denied ever being at Sanborn's garage. But before taking his own life in early 2014, Cass, who had a criminal history spanning 4 decades, made a comment about never going back to jail.
He changed his will, he made arrangements, so he's clearly very concerned that he was going to be arrested for this homicide. And so all of those actions combined, and the fingerprint, led us to conclude that we had enough evidence to charge him.
The Delano family released a statement. It says, in part, our family is forever grateful for the countless hours the cold case unit put into reinvestigating our father's case. We are happy this day has come where our family has been given a small measure of justice. And that statement goes on to thank all of the investigators who have worked on this case dating back to 1966. The family says if it weren't for the actions of the investigators on scene that day, they never would have had these answers. We're live in Concord tonight. Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man jumped from second floor window of burning Acworth home. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
We're Rhymes Propane and Oil, and no one beats us. No one has a lower price on home heating oil in your area than we do. But if another company does, we'll beat their price. If you can see this ad, we can service you. Rhymes, meeting your energy needs for over 40 years. Learn more at rhymes.com.
Pictures taken by the Acworth Fire Department around 4 a.m. show the scene at 148 Hill Road, a fire destroying a home and new barn.
The homeowner, I believe, in this case is very lucky that he's survived his ordeal.
Officials say the man in his 60s jumped from the second floor.
From what I'm told by the passerby who picked him up, the homeowner said that he had to jump out a second-story window, crawl through the snow, and then a passerby found him laying on the side of the road, picked him up, put him in his car, and called 911 to start the process.
This is all that's left of what the fire chief says was an older colonial home and a newly restored barn. You can still make out a few pieces, for example, the 2 chimneys, what's left of a car, and a couple of tractors. The barn, neighbors say, looked like it was just recently finished, and it was a remarkable structure.
It looked like something that a neighborhood of farmers in 1800 would have put together. Real craftsmanship, outstanding craftsmanship, like, again, one of the better ones I've seen in this region.
The homeowner was taken to Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center. 2 firefighters were taken to a hospital for minor injuries. They slipped on ice while battling the elements.
It was 0 degrees when we rolled up at 10 minutes to 4 this morning. We have frozen up 5 trucks that I know of.
While the home and barn are a complete loss, the fire chief says that's not the primary concern.
As an EMT in the town, I wanted to make sure that that patient was taken care of. We can replace buildings. It's very hard to replace lives.
The state fire marshal's office is investigating the cause of the fire. In Acworth, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man sentenced to prison after pleading guilty in fatal crash. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Out the door when it matters most. For more than a decade, he's been right there, everywhere. And when American jobs are on the line, he leads the charge. ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast, and we thank you.
They were coming home from a day at Weir's Beach, and in the blink of an eye, their lives were changed forever. 20-year-old Tiana Losey was killed when a car driven by Richard Conrad crossed the center line of Route 11 in Guilford and struck her SUV head-on.
Because of this, I'm a dad who lost his daughter. And in ways you wouldn't understand, you've taken parts of my wife that are irreplaceable.
Conrad pleaded guilty today to negligent homicide and 2 counts of second-degree assault. Prosecutors say he was drunk when the crash happened.
The defendant's actions in this case are reprehensible. The effects are felt more than just the individuals that were involved in the accident. As you can see, the great number of people that are here today, they all feel this just as much as everybody else in that vehicle.
2 adults and 2 young children were also hurt in the crash. Losey's fiance was the driver and suffered several broken bones.
I just hope he learns his lesson. He's going to have to live with it for the rest of his life. I mean, I'm going to have to live with my injuries for probably the rest of my life.
Conrad was sentenced to a minimum of 6 years in prison, but he can have 2 of those suspended if he completes drug and alcohol treatment behind bars. Prosecutors say the sentence was appropriate. Losey's family realizes this is not the end for them.
Nothing's going to bring back Tiana. You know, it's a gap in our family. And, you know, hopefully time will heal.
Conrad's driver's license is revoked indefinitely. He chose not to speak at today's hearing. Reporting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Farmington man faces incident exposure charge in Rochester. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
25-year-old Adam Upson from Farmington has now been indicted on a felony-level charge of indecent exposure for what Rochester police say surveillance cameras recorded in November at this Aroma Joe's on Route 125.
There was video evidence at Aroma Joe's that helped to corroborate the story. Received a report that a male had pulled up to the drive-thru, exposed his genitals.
Police say the suspect touched himself in front of 2 female employees. Investigators say Aroma Joe's identified Upson as a regular and that he paid with his credit card. He now faces a felony charge because they say 2 children were in his pickup truck at the time.
There were 2 juveniles in the back seat of the vehicle he was in, and the crime of indecent exposure, when it's in the presence of people under 16, becomes a felony.
Upson must now wear a GPS monitor and have a mental health evaluation. He faces up to 7 years if convicted. Live in Rochester tonight, Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Stocks set to open slightly higher, aimed reports of U.S.-China trade. U.S. stocks were slightly higher Thursday, aimed reports of the U.S. and China have begun outlining a deal to end their protected trade war. Jesse Somlet charged with felony disorderly conduct for staging attack, police say. The one account of disorderly conduct is a felony, officials told ABC News. Empire actor Jesse Somlet has been charged with a felony disorder conduct for filing a false report after allegedly staging the attack against himself in Chicago. Police and the state attorney's office confirmed to ABC News. And that did it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. Goodbye, everyone.